2018 meeting of the MSAD 51 Board of Directors. Our first item for action tonight is to approve the minutes from our October 1st, 2018 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, so our next item is recognition of our National History Day participants with Kathy Kearney. So I know you have some items prepared, and we'd love to hear from the students.
Yes, we do. Jeff wants them to introduce themselves first.
Great.
Okay, so we are the NHD group. There are a few of us here. I'm Matthew Gilbert.
I'm Connor Albert.
Okay, and then you guys go down the line there.
I'm Don Strawbridge.
I'm Lucy Newton.
So, that is just a few of our kids. Not all of them are here today, but so we'll start on the presentation. Okay, so first I'm just gonna describe National History Day, and it is an intensive, very intensive the way we do it, year-long research project for GT Social Studies students. And so the research process starts with students choosing a topic that they enjoy researching and doing research into archives and historic newspapers, conducting interviews with experts and relatives of people involved, and creating an entry. And this entry can be anything that the student enjoys creating or what the research fits best for. So like documentaries, papers, exhibits, performances, websites, and they can be done as a group or individual project. So at least at Greely, we spend a lot of time doing NHD throughout the year, and it's a year-long project. We started it in September, but so like to give you an example of how much research we do, this is my bibliography, and it's 160 pages or something. So it's really, really long, and it's double-sided. So it's like just like to show you how much work we put into this. But now it's your turn.
Okay, so I'm here to tell you some of the successes that we've had. We've had 20 projects placed at states in 4 years. We've had 8 awards at nationals with the 1st, 4th, and 7th place, and 5 special awards. Our projects have been presented on the NHD website. Like we've got them to be presented at the National Museum of American History and multiple state museums. And some students have continued with their projects and are still working on them and presenting them, and have been on the news for their projects.
Okay, so even though so I'm going to talk about what we've learned through the NHD program. So even though it's National History Day, I think that I personally, and I think a lot of the students would agree, that we've learned a lot more about writing even, and creating an argument, supporting it with evidence, and just being strong writers. And so our thesis statements have up to 50 drafts sometimes. And yeah, we do a lot of writing. But so like even this has helped us to be better speakers. Like just a few weeks ago, the NHD state coordinator, John Taylor, invited me to come do a presentation at a teacher workshop. And I'd say that because of my experiences with NHD, that I was able to, in like 3 or 4 hours, create a presentation and go speak for half an hour at the teacher workshop. I never would have done anything like that or have been able to do anything like that before NHD. And really, NHD is something that affects all of your learning experience throughout school. Most of my classes, I can tie this into, I already learned about this. I learned about this at NHD. So we've also learned a lot about how enjoyable history can be, and how much more to history there is than what any regular student does on a regular basis, just doing a school research project. we go so much more in depth and find things that are really interesting and cool and just really kind of fun. But sometimes, except during crunch time when it's like really stressful. But so we've learned how to do research and talk to people, interview people, and create a clear and powerful argument. So now it's your turn, Kat.
Okay, so these are some of the experiences that we've been able to do through NHD. We have visited many, or pretty much almost all, national museums in DC. We've been able to see a lot of the monuments and be able to meet people from around the country and around the globe, because we have people from like Guam and those territories, around those territories that come to the national competition. We're able to meet with the senators and get a chance to converse with them and ask questions about their job, what they do, their policies sometimes. And then even at the state competition, we can interact with each other and learn about stuff that we wouldn't have without NHD and without having the experiences that NHD gives us.
Okay.
These are some of the pictures that we have from our national experiences, I guess you could call them. We met with Justice Thomas at the Supreme Court and got a tour of the Supreme Court in 2017. Matthew, you can do it.
Yeah. Why? Okay. So, yeah, that was really cool. He talked with us for like half an hour, 45 minutes in his office, and that was really cool. So that is the National Awards Ceremony in DC, the final awards ceremony, and we all go and march around, all the students from all the states. And that's us with the lobsters. So, and so that is us at the state contest, all the winners at the state contest last year. So that's it for pictures. Okay, now question time. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. So here are some examples of projects. These are all exhibits because that's what you can most easily show in pictures, but those are some exhibits. So, okay. Question time.
I got a little bit nervous there for a second that you're going to ask us questions about history. And if I may, Kate, if it's okay with you, I'm blown away by all of you. Certainly to get up here and speak in front of a room full of people, and this is probably one of the smaller groups you've spoken with, is just phenomenal. And the work that you've done to talk to people outside of the state of Maine to gain their insight, to be able to interview people and understand what they do, why they do it, and get insight that can help you to make those arguments that are going to guide you throughout your lives. I love the work that you're doing, folks. It's really great.
Thanks.
I took some time this afternoon to read your process papers and to watch the documentary films, and the level of the work that all of you students are doing is so impressive. Like, one of those slides shows, college level research. Absolutely. You can check that mark right off the box. So it was really, I'm so glad I got a chance to see the work as well as meet all of you tonight. So thank you. You're representing our district and our student bodies and your school so incredibly. So thank you. Does anyone have anything else to add?
I was just gonna say, as a history major myself, I love hearing that some people think it's cool, even younger than me. So, thank you for spreading your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
Yeah. Really well done.
Great job. Great job.
I know you guys had a chance to introduce yourselves in the audience, but actually it doesn't appear on TV. So would Mrs. Kearney be all right with all the students going out and just reintroducing yourselves at the microphone? Just say your name on the actual mic. That way it doesn't show up in the audience otherwise. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
This one? I'm Teddy Conway.
Don Strawbridge.
So loud. I'm Devin Gifford.
I'm Meredith Cloutier.
I'm Henry Hale.
I'm Lucy Noonan. I'm Eva Levin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd just also like to recognize Kathy Kearney, who is one of the gifted and talented teachers. Should say teacher of gifted and talented, right? That's how we're supposed to say it. But I just want to also thank you for all of your work with the National History Day program, and I've had a chance to see the projects over the years as well. Just amazing, amazing work that has come out of this program. Very talented students, and thank you, Mrs. Kearney, for everything you've done. So it's great work.
2 of the exhibits are up at Greely Middle School in the library if you want to see them live.
Excellent.
That's great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And no one has to feel obligated to stay for the very exciting remainder of our evening.
Oh, you
so
really should,
now is
though.
a perfect time if you wanted to save yourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
I mean, I watched one of the documentaries all the way through. It was so entertaining. It was great. And so now our fourth item for action is our Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program with Rebecca Prunette and Kate Olson-Piotrowski. Props, we like it.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, MSAD 51 staff, and community members of Cumberland and North Yarmouth. Konbanwa. This means good evening in Japanese. My name's Rebecca Pruenti, and I'm the president of the Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program, and I teach French at GMS.
Konbanwa. My name is Kate Olson-Piotrowski, and I am on the board of the Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program. I'm also the Japan Club leader at Greely Middle School, where I work as a school counselor. On behalf of our program, we wish to tell you how pleased we are to have just completed our 26th year of exchange. It has been a very successful year for the Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program. This is the third year working with Harrison Middle School, and it has been a perfect partnership with Greely Middle School and the Japan Exchange Program. We now have 11 board members who are all volunteers in our nonprofit organization that has its roots at Greely Middle School. 3 towns are represented on the board: Cumberland, North Yarmouth, and Yarmouth. The exchange is a very special opportunity for these communities. The Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program works hard to make this happen. It's a lot of work for everyone, and it is always worth it. We truly believe our program is helping to maintain and further peace and friendship with Japan and the world.
Last January, 10 students and 4 adults from Aomori, Japan visited our beautiful communities and stayed with families in their homes. They were hosted by 1 Greely student and 9 Harrison Middle School students. In July, we brought 9 students to Aomori, Japan, 5 from Greely and 4 from Harrison. Our board is currently in the process of selecting hosts for this upcoming January visit, and we're happy to say that we have 8 applicants from Greely this year. I had the opportunity to chaperone the trip this past summer and can tell you that our students were open-hearted, brave, and adventurous, kind, and creative. They shared a cultural program with hundreds of Japanese students where they performed the Cotton Eye Joe, taught about Mardi Gras, and demonstrated a typical language class from the United States. They met mayors, dignitaries, Buddhist monks, teachers, and lots of people of all ages. They were peacemakers. To love people from another country is the work of enhancing world peace. The ongoing communication between our travelers and hosts, and between last year's hosts and travelers, is testament to the long-lasting relationships that our students build on this program. The relationships that are built through these exchanges stay with travelers and hosts for a lifetime. We hope for your support again this year, and please let us know if you have any questions.
So you said it was the 26th year this program has been running. Amazing.
What's wonderful is that first when we've heard about these trips, you focus first on what a great experience going overseas and having these connections. But really, I think you really aptly point out and correctly point out how important is the building of connections and the relationships and the universal connections, notwithstanding the different cultures and the commonality. And so really, this is just such a wonderful thing that you are now taking the mantle of, and we're very, very grateful, and I'm sure all the children and family that are involved.
Thank you.
Just wonderful.
Anyone else? All right, so now I will ask for a motion to approve the Casco Bay Japan Exchange Program as presented.
Also move.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
It's just one presentation.
All right, and our next presentation is our program and curriculum highlights and technology.
Tough group to follow. You cleared the room too, right?
Room keeps clear.
So I'll make this quick and go through basically what we've done from the last time I was here. But thank you for letting me have the opportunity to talk to you all about what's happening in technology, especially around now that we have devices K-8 and bring your own device at the high school. So every student has access to technology or device. So that's a turning point that now allows us to really focus on the teaching and learning. Access is our number one job, making sure we have Wi-Fi and bandwidth for all the teaching that happens. Without that bandwidth and that speed, it falls flat on its face. So we've had one project that we're still working and monitoring here at the high school is we've taken the security cameras separated on our network. So none of that traffic is affecting the teaching and learning now. That happened over the summer. Now that's all split off, and there's, as you see the Wi-Fi here, it's either a student or a guest. If you come on our campus now as a guest, you're throttled way down. You can't watch videos on Facebook. You can't, do a lot of the things that you would do normally at your home as a guest on our network. That's saving bandwidth for our teachers and our students. Students have a throttled back network where we don't allow Netflix or Facebook. We do allow YouTube, and that's where we're monitoring right now is the amount of YouTube usage in the third period, which seems to bring down our third period classes to a crawl at times. So that's probably the hot button right now here at the high school, as Chris has had an opportunity to sit with Pete Rohde and look at the heat maps and the usage. But I think what we also know is the bring your own device here at the high school has been very successful. Almost every kid, except for 46 students in this high school, bring the device that they want to work on. So we supply 46 Chromebooks to those other students, and of which only 8 we offer scholarship to. 7 have opted out. So for the most part, they're like, this is the right device, and it's the loaner program, and it's not that many. So versus going to a one-to-one program where we provide all of it, we're saving a lot of money there. Okay, so now that we have access, I'll turn it to the strategic plan and the things that affect technology in the strategic plan. The first thing is wellness. Under wellness is digital citizenship. So we have our teacher leadership committees, of which there's about 25 members that represent K-12. Of which all the administrators, principals are on, some assistant principals, and 13 class level or department level members. Plus, we also have Sally Laughlin's on it, Donna Green's on it, our curriculum people, and myself. And we also have all the library media specialists. So it's a nice broad approach to a K-12 approach to technology and how we can scaffold the digital citizenship amongst all the grades. Of which every administrator has their own technology leadership building teams, where after we do a K-12 meeting, we do that twice a year, we bring everybody now at the building level every month together, and that's where the real rubber hits the road. That's where they're looking at different software. What are the hardware needs? Are there tech support getting addressed properly? And that's where the recommendations that will be built by that group to what will go towards prioritizing in the budget. So they've got the pulse of what's happening in each building and what are the right tools to put on those devices. I think it's important to say that once we have these devices, it's not just, oh great, we've got devices. It's using these in a purposeful manner to improve teaching and learning. And if it doesn't do that, it isn't going to be used in the classroom. So we know all kids can use devices, great, but are they using them for the right purpose? And this, I know that Corey and Susie in the K3 technology group works really hard at identifying the right pieces and what are the good learning applications to increase that, those capabilities. One example is Typing Club. If you watch third graders type their answers last year in our national assessment, it was painful to watch the process. Now Typing Club allows all the kids to work at their own pace and learn what we all got keyboarding, but you can watch their speed, their accuracy, and now these kids, because we're bringing it now in second grade, they won't have that test until spring of third grade. So it gives them a year and a half of typing skills that hopefully we won't be seeing as much of other than from myself. So, the other thing about digital citizenship is we want to create a positive school culture that supports lifelong safety, responsibility, and ethical use of technology. And that's real important. And I'm going to right now just segue real quick to a video that we have shown. First night for it. Worked all the way. Of course it doesn't work for technology, right?
Unplug these overhead speakers while this happens so we don't get an echo.
Okay.
I was going to do the same thing.
This is 3 minutes long, and it's for filler. Just kidding.
You are sick.
Hold on.
Get help. You are sick. Get help.
I'm fighting with my phone using it versus my computer, I think.
I think it's connected to your computer.
Okay.
You are sick. Get help. You're retarded. And then Kiera says, OMG. At which point Emma goes, don't you ever brush your teeth? I bet the camera is dying of your breath. And oh my God, I can't say more. There's so much more things about you, like your ugliness. And then Zoe says, okay, please don't post videos. Please. Now just pay attention to how this room feels right now. Behind that screen is a real human being with emotions, with feelings, with hopes, goals, and dreams. It's a huge thing that will either hurt your chances or help your chances of making it all happen. We're talking about your life online. Let's say that someone in this very room wants to be in the NHL. Because I'm a coach in this day and age, you can hop on Google, look up your name, and you happen to be someone named Zoran. And I see that Zoran, once upon a time, put a comment underneath a video that said, child, you are sick, get help, you're retarded. Do you think that in this moment, for me, someone who can give you an opportunity to do something you want in life, I would keep him or cut him? The fact that I've probably cut this dude before he's even been told he's on the team is exactly why you have an incredible opportunity. Because if you want to hurt yourself and others, hey, online, great place to do it. So this is an example of someone who might have never even known they were going to get the best opportunity possible to achieve their goals, to maybe get that dream job, to go all the places they want to go. They might never know that they lost that opportunity over a simple comment. We don't say this to scare you. We say this to excite you. We say this to get you motivated and inspired and empowered to approach your life online in a way that actually relates to all the things you say you want to achieve in life. Here we go. I've got a post ready to go. I get to ask myself a couple questions. What's the first question? Is it true? And if it's not true, what do I do? But if it is true, what do I do? And the second question, is it? Is it? And if it's not kind, what do I do? We're not dealing with cell phones. We're not dealing with iPads. We're not dealing with someone on the screen. We're dealing with an actual human being.
This program belongs in every single classroom that's out there.
Your life online can help become a veterinarian, help learn a language, help meet amazing people. What do you want to say to the world? Live your life online in a way that helps you get all those things that you say you want in life. So the question becomes, who do you want to be?
So that's why we want to make sure we use the devices for the right and for the opportunities that these can give these kids to explore all the great things that technology can do for them. So the other thing is community partnerships is important to us. Without the PTO and Foundation 51 and grants, we wouldn't get some of the funding that we can use to do some of the items that we've gotten for some STEM programming, or be able to put on a feature film. We did Screenagers back a while ago. A new movie's come out that just came out in October called Kind, as in, you know, did you like it or not like it on Facebook? It's called Kind. So that's something that we're working right now to try to see when we might be able to show that with the help of those two organizations. So I think that's important to keep them involved, because it's not just about what happens here at school. This stuff happens all the time with all the devices that they have to them. So we have to, is it true, is it kind, and keep going down that path. The curriculum side, STEM, is also a big part of, in my world, of the strategic plan. We have, right now, one of the goals is to have a high-level computer science course at the high school. So there's steps moving towards that, having maybe an AP computer course here. We also have changed the computer class for 6 to actually be STEM class. And then K3 have done pilots and grants, and they're working on that scaffolding, as is 7 and 8, because they've already had the STEM and what they're doing actually in those science and math classes. And 2 other points is we also are working very closely as a state for what is called the Student Privacy Alliance of Maine. And any of the products that we bring in, we need to make sure that we're compliant and looking after FERPA, SIPA, and COPA. And for those who don't know what those mean, FERPA is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. SIPA is the Internet Protection Act. And then COPA is Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So those, you know, all the time I have teachers, oh, it's free. If it's free, you're the product, not what they're trying to give it to you. So we have to be very concerned about what information those companies are getting, what they use that information for, and can we get it back? And this alliance, we now have, with the help of Drummond and Woodson, contracts that we send to those software companies that they have to sign saying, we own the data, we can get it back if we stop using your product. So Massachusetts is the forefront. If you really want to dive deep into that, go to the Cambridge, Massachusetts site. They have over 350 some applications or software that they've vetted. Either it's approved or not approved. And what it does and where it hits our ISTE standards, our International Society for Technology Educators, and what standards in those. So we are just beginning that process. Cambridge is now probably almost 3 years into that process. So that's pretty exciting. It takes a lot of work, but now instead of every school having to get that contract signed, we get one signed and it covers all of us in all of the state. And the work ahead, we have a lot of training coming up for our Greely Center of the Arts, which the tech department's excited to find out, get in the door and see how it all has to run, because as I've told Steve Blatt, on day one, if it doesn't work, they're going to look to us to make sure it works. So we have that training coming up. So thank you, and any questions?
Gigi? First, I mean, it's always it's such a multi-headed, hydra of all the different things, in terms of the delivery of the Wi-Fi and then the digital citizenship. And you do a great job, and we're very lucky to have you and all the collaboration going on.
They do most of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really quite something. So that being said, I have increasingly, and I think you're covering this, and it's wonderful you're doing the kind, but I have become increasingly concerned about, perhaps because I have 2 high school students, but the potential, and I've been reading some articles about, for example, a lot of the Silicon Valley, forefounders are very reluctant to give their children phones in school. And I am getting increasingly concerned about us also educating children about the addictive, and I'm going to use that word purposefully, element of phones and cyber. And I know I might be part of that. It's great, but and parents, we're getting texts from our kids throughout the day. And so it's just something that I really do believe there is something very complex and something about the access, and that you're balancing, and we're always balancing access to education, but I hate to throw out a balloon and not have a solution, but just something that I've been watching.
Movie that's coming out,
yeah.
The data there shows that the usage of cell phones has the same MRI as heroin addiction.
Yeah, it's something.
And the love of a phone has the same MRI as love for a person. Mm-hmm. So those are 2 huge
Try to
things.
ground your children from it. See what happens.
Though I also would like to tell you, when I've done PTO parent universities and talk about digital citizenship and usage and what we can do, I would say 3/4 of the adults in the room said, I have to change before I can expect my kids to change. So I think it's all our responsibility to understand, because this is all new to us.
Yeah, and I'd hate to be a negative Nelly on it, because everything is so really just top of the mind, so I know I'm not telling you anything, but it has been something in fact, Tyler, I think last year you raised some reluctance about, and it kind of went in, but it is something that I just wanted to raise, and I don't want to be a shadow on what is really just a fantastic endeavor and real consciousness and wellness. But I do think it's something that we do need to keep an eye on. I really do.
And it might need to be part of the health program,
I really
too.
think it is. And that's, but that, I'm sure there are people who are on that. The other thing sort of akin to that, and you might be, is that having typed for many, many years of my life, are we being, when we're teaching typing, what are we doing to specifically address ergonomics for repetitive use as we start so young with these kids. Any thoughts on that?
We just put typing club in,
Yeah.
so it's an excellent question, and
Keep in mind.
yeah, I think it's something we have to be aware of and watch.
They're
So-
just, yeah, because just young.
How
you
many
know, so-
people have carpal
Yeah,
tunnel?
yeah. I'm not saying that, but, yeah.
No,
but
I mean, there
it's
are. I
true.
mean, our
No, no,
past
no.
director had carpal tunnel. I mean, it's something to be aware of, and we need to think. I mean, I know people who change using a right-hand mouse, they change it and
Yep,
for a
we
while
have in
go
my
left
office.
mouse for a while,
Yeah.
just to keep it changing.
Yeah, I use a brace.
And you've seen a big change in rising desks. People standing up versus sitting down. If they're always at a computer, so you see more and more of those.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, why don't you go ahead? Well, we can go right down the line. I think we've got 3 in a row.
My question was just about the video you showed. What age group do you show that to the students?
The question, I think you're right at that, is it a 4 or 5 level?
Mm-hmm.
I did show it.
You did show it, 4 or 5.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All around anti-bullying.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Okay. Great. No,
So-
that was just my question.
Yeah, I'd love to see it showed, and if it's not appropriate K3, is there something else? And we talk about high school and their behaviors. I think we all understand we need to push this down into the K1, 2 level so that when it comes time for them to have a cell phone, they've already gotten the rules and regs of the schools and the families and how they're going to be used.
Yep. Great. Thank you. Tyler?
My question was, at what age does digital citizenship learning and teaching start? Is it start at K?
Start at home before they even come here.
Well, sure, but in this context, yeah.
It does start at K. I think there's, and I think this is probably the struggle I have the most in technology in a K-12 environment and the total number of classes, total number of teachers. What is the thing that we're going to make sure that all kids get? And I think that's part of the scaffolding work of this year that we picked up from last year with the digital citizenship, that all teachers K say, these kids will have this at the end of the year, so that the first grade teachers can build on that. So you see it in certain classes, but it's not consistent across all kindergarten classes.
Okay, thank you.
But it hasn't been asked for of them. So it's not like they're not doing what
Sure,
they're
yeah, sure,
I mean, so.
So, Dirk, I wanted to add a couple things. The first is when you talked about STEM and the excitement that you can hear from students. I've been hanging out on a field hockey field a lot this fall, and which is great. But you have a lot of the 5th and 6th graders, and there's this excitement about STEM that I've never heard from any group before. I'm certain it's driven by some spectacular teachers, but I just wanted to point that out. It's exciting stuff.
It's engaging.
It is. The other thing, you referenced Foundation 51 and PTO with Parent University. I think you're 100% right that the understanding, knowledge, respect of all of these devices has to start at home before they come into school. And so many of those programs are just spectacular. And if parents haven't had an opportunity to come into those, there really should be too many people to hold them. Because the quality of what you and the other folks present is very helpful to parents that don't know the first few steps to take. So I don't think you can publicize that enough.
And there's more work that's happening that you'll see being publicized too on a K-8 program that you're going to see coming out, which will be pretty exciting, that I can't give you any more information about at this time.
You can't hint at it.
Teaser.
What's that?
You can't hint at it?
Nope. It's not my show.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Our next item is our superintendent's report.
Thank you. The Greely Center for the Arts is in its very last stretch of construction. I'm happy to report a year later. Substantial completion is expected early December at this point. Tentative opening ceremony program will be sometime in late January we'll be opening the Center for the Arts in hopefully after the holidays, but we won't actually have an actual opening program until the end of January. The 510 seats have been installed now, and I'll have photos of the Center for the Arts from late last week on my blog that will go out tomorrow. So basically what's left at this point is interior flooring, trim work, audio-visual systems, some cabinetry that hasn't gotten done, and some woodwork, etc. So some basically finer finishes, as we should say. National Unity Day, which was meant to bring awareness to the effects of bullying, was held in October, late October, at all 4 of our schools. We had a lot of different activities going on, including a kindness assembly at Mabel Wilson School. We had the police and fire department officials greeting students at 4-5. Civil rights teams at the middle school and high school did plan different activity campaigns for around bullying. And even the Congregational Church, in support of Unity Day and in recognition for students, lit up its steeple the color of orange that evening, just to show their support as well for National Unity Day. Challenge Day. Here at Greely High School, we've actually had the first day today of Challenge Day for 2018. Tomorrow will be another group. And we had about 100 students that participated today, and we'll have another 100 tomorrow. Challenge Day is a day-long experiential social and emotional program that offers schools an opportunity to ignite the shift towards greater school connectedness, empathy, and inclusivity. And we're really excited that the Challenge Day program is in its 4th year at Greely High School, and it's been very well received. I also like to just thank Acadia Hospital, which has included us in their Pine Tree Circle of Change. Acadia Hospital is a major sponsor of Challenge Day in our district and picks up a huge amount of the cost, including travel and lodging expenses for the facilitators. We have to fly facilitators in as part of the program, and those costs get covered by Acadia Hospital. Congratulations. We have a lot of students on my blog that I'll be congratulating, with a lot of great things going on lately. Audrey Hankinson for achieving the highest Girl Scout honor, the Gold Award, for her house numbering project. So if you've been driving around Cumberland, North Yarmouth, you'll notice there are these nice signs that are all over the place with the numbers of those. She worked with the police and fire departments to get that done. So that's exciting. Congratulations, Audrey. Congratulations to our National Merit Program students. These students were commended as part of the 2019 National Merit Program. Nicholas Giandria, Timothy Lester, and Matthew Todd. Only 50,000 students out of 1.6 million are recognized as commended in the United States each year. Denise Allen is a health teacher at Greely High School, and she has been named the State MAPERD Teacher of the Year. And if you remember last year, another one of our teachers was named the State MAPERD Teacher of the Year, and that's for physical education and health teachers in their organization. That was Becky Belmore for 2017, and Denise has won the award for 2018. So I'd like to congratulate Denise for winning it this year. Isaac Barr, who's in 5th grade, and Eva Dews, who's in 6th grade, were named the 2018 Count Me In poster contest winners. And this is just promoting the importance of school attendance. And I'll have both of their posters on my blog posted tomorrow, so you can see them. High school student Danny Tebbs was nominated for the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution Good Citizen Award. And she was chosen because she is dependable, her service, her leadership, and her patriotism. Congratulations, Danny. The boys cross-country team won the state bronze award for 3rd place in the state, and the girls cross-country team came in 6th in the state. So I'd like to congratulate both of those teams. Rachel Smith is the Maine State Girls Golf Champion. So we're really excited that she is at the top of her class in that one. And the high school civil rights team banner project was completed. The high school civil rights team, under the direction of social worker Peter Scott, collaborated with the Student Athletic Advisory Council on a banner that reads, "Rangers lead the way with respect for all." And if you have been to any games on the field, I believe that was just put out there, and it will also be hung in the gym for certain events as well. And I'd just like to take a minute to recognize Hope Foster, who is 91 years old and passed away a couple of weeks ago. Mrs. Foster spent just really a lifetime of service to Cumberland and North Yarmouth. She spent decades teaching in the MSAD 51 schools, only to turn around after that and volunteer for many, many, many years in our schools, including so many other things in the community. She also was an honorary member of the girls' basketball team, and just a wonderful woman. And actually, in late July, she met with Carolyn Small from the Historical Society, Scott Poulin, myself, Don Foster, and our contractors who are working on the Institute, and brought with Carolyn and herself, brought a bunch of photos from the 1870s, what the Institute used to look like, so that we are restoring the Greely Institute to its original status. It's been changed and modified over the last 150 years since the Institute was first built, as it was needing repairs, and et cetera. So as we're doing this final, hopefully we think it's final repair on the Institute, I'd like to thank Carolyn Small and also Mrs. Foster, the late Mrs. Foster, for both of their contributions in making sure the Institute looks the way it did when it was first built in the late 1860s. And speaking of that, the Institute did turn 150 years old in October, and I'll actually have a photo of the Institute from Mrs. Small and Mrs. Foster that they loaned to the district, and I'll have that on my blog tomorrow. And you can see that back then we had the first graduation in, I think it was 1868, and there were cows grazing in the background, and nothing else. It was literally the largest structure for miles in Cumberland and North Yarmouth. So things have changed, but we are ever grateful to those ladies, and also to Northeast Testing and Doughton's Construction Company for doing an enormously great job, and for Scott Poulin and Don Foster for overseeing that project for us for the district. The Institute will have a nice new face, and it will be restoring it to the pride that it is of this community. Thank you.
Thanks. That's great. Next item for action is public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to our committee reports. Oh, Mike's not here. All right. Does anyone want to?
Just
Think
that we
we'll
have our meeting
skip
tomorrow?
Yeah, finance. We have a meeting tomorrow at 8:15.
Yeah, we have a meeting tomorrow morning, 8:15, and we'll be talking about a financial update, and we'll also be looking at some podcast of Superintendent Porter explaining finance and signing the warrants and getting some of that information done. So that's what we're doing tomorrow.
That's so exciting.
They're very good.
That is, no, it sounds geeky, but it is. We've wanted that for a while. That's fantastic. Great.
Policy?
I don't know how I can follow that. So we had a session this evening with the committee, and did some work on a number of policies that you'll see in the next meeting. Today is a first reading of the school wellness policy. Unfortunately, Mrs. MacArthur just left, but I do want to thank her for all of the tireless work that she put in on with her team to ensure that met the needs of the district. As you review this policy, if you have any questions, please feel free to call or send them along. We'll get answers for any of those questions.
Great. Curriculum?
Sally and I met this week. We are in the process, now that we are past NEASC, we are in the process of putting together a proficiency stakeholder group and reviewing graduation policy. So we will be working on that and most likely holding meetings prior to our board meetings starting in early December.
Great. Negotiations, Scott, anything there?
Yeah, we've actually spoken with the association on 2 of the bargaining units, the social workers, which is a newly formed unit, and also on the secretaries and ed techs, and we'll be bringing forward an executive session to the board on December 3rd to discuss the board's interest in those negotiations.
Okay. Facilities.
So the Facilities Committee convened back the first week of October. As Jeff alluded to, we got an update on the Greely Center for the Performing Arts and talked a little bit about the renovation work on the front of the Greely Institute. The group also spent some time just having a philosophical conversation about the space study and some of the implications. Obviously, other discussions will happen in other committees and groups, but just wanted to have conversation with some of our new members about that, and took a moment to review the 10-year facilities plan, making note of some of the things that we have been able to accomplish over the last 2 years. It was adopted by the board in June of 2016, and just mapping a path forward as opportunities present themselves so that we can keep our campus looking beautiful.
Excellent. Tyler, environmental stewardship.
We just last week wrapped up second week of outdoor classroom week. It was kind of rainy, but a lot of people still participated and sent along some photos, which is exciting to look at. I haven't had a chance to look through all of them yet. And we did complete a EcoMaine grant to help support or continue to support the high school's compost and recycling programs. And our next meeting is Wednesday, November 13th at 3 o'clock.
Great. Tara, you're the lone wolf tonight, so we'd love to hear any student report that you might have for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on about Challenge Day that I think it's really exciting for the juniors and seniors to see, just because I had a really great experience with Challenge Day, and I think everyone else who's gone through it feels the same way.
Great. All right, so we're going to move on to communications, the Maine School Management Association Fall Conference Update. I'm sorry, I keep feeling I keep hogging you. Do you, is that you? Sure. So myself, Mike Brown, Tyler, we all made it up to 1 or 2 of the days in Augusta, accompanied by Jeff as well, and we each sat in various clinics on special ed. I think you attended like a public pre-K discussion. Tyler, I'm not sure which ones you attended. Feel free to share.
We did, Mike and I both did roles of school board members, which is always helpful to be reminded of and hear different perspectives. And we also did one on trans students. Is that right?
Yeah, it was my first time going up to the conference, and I actually found it was kind of nice to be surrounded by, people that have been doing this work and volunteering for their communities and other superintendents and districts. I think, I learned a lot, especially about budget process on one of the clinics that I sat in, and it was a really nice experience. All right.
I just want to thank Kate, Mike, and Tyler for being able to go to Maine School Management and spend some time up there. There was also a keynote speaker, Jamie Vollmer, who's a national speaker on the importance of public education and the importance of communities to support their public schools, and really the campaign that Maine School Management has taken on with the AASA, which is the American Association of School Superintendents, as well as the National School Boards Association, is this campaign to promote public education, and that public education is the key to all of our children's future. So that is a campaign that our state association, joint association of school boards and superintendents, has taken on in concert with our national organization counterparts. So I think that's really important. Our county superintendents have been talking about promoting public education in Cumberland County more as a group, not just individually. We all do that individually, but we'd like to do that more as a county and promoting the importance of public education in the state of Maine.
Yeah, he was a really great speaker. All right, so moving on to our items for action. So our first item for action is a vote to appoint Jennifer Segal to the position of the Greely Center for the Arts as manager. So I guess I'll take a motion. We can have some discussion if needed. Motion?
I'll move for the hiring of Jen Segal as Greely Center for the Arts manager, please.
Second? I'll second. Any discussion? I wasn't on the hiring committee for this, so I don't have any tidbits to share, but
Somebody who was, if
I
they could,
was.
that'd be good.
I was, and I will say that the pool of applicants was incredibly varied, and there were a lot of people that had different strengths, but I think that Jen's, I've known her as a co-parent, as a parent, as a member of the Arts Alliance, and as a community member, and she just has so much enthusiasm and love for the arts, plus an extensive background. I think that it's a really exciting time, and she's going to do a great job.
I was very impressed when I was reviewing her resume in the board packet, so I think I'm happy to cast my vote in her favor. All right, any other discussion? Anyone have any other questions for anybody? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll go to our next item for action, and Kevin or Jeff, I'll let either one of you tee this one up. Kevin?
Well, do you want a nomination, a motion first? Or
Yeah,
would you-
yeah, we can go
okay.
through the motion the second we discuss.
So I'll read along Fran's notes. I'd make a motion that we delete policy EFE, which is the sale of foods in competition with the food services program.
I'll second that.
So
Explain.
discussion.
What is that?
I know, I could see everybody literally get on the edge of their seats. It's an obsolete policy that we have, and Jeff, if you could, your definition was far better than the one that I'll give.
Basically, when we looked into it, the attorney from Drummond and Woodson that we're working with on this particular policy told us that the new wellness policy, or the revised wellness policy, has got that language in there, and that the need for a separate policy is no longer needed for our district. So that language is wrapped into the new wellness policy in the nutritional piece. So it would basically be a duplicate. It used to be very important that we'd had this policy because we couldn't be competing with our food service program. But because of the new wellness program, the new national guidelines around nutrition, because we've got this new wellness policy, as long as that gets approved, we don't need this particular policy, so it can be deleted.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right, vote to delete policy EFE. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Who was that? Sarah?
Sarah. Second?
Oh, I'll second.
All in favor?
I know, I thought it did too.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.